The email had arrived like a miracle. Nadia stared at the golden logo embossed across the header. Dubai International Beauty Contest 2023. Her name was written in perfect English letters, offering her a ticket to a world she had only glimpsed in magazines. The promise was clear: an all-expenses paid trip, luxury accommodations and exposure to agencies that could change her life. Her mother frowned when she showed the printed letter. "Nadia, these things, they're not always what they look like." Nadia kissed her cheek. "Mama, this is my chance. I can't stay here forever. You'll see, I'll make you proud." At the airport, the weight of possibility drowned out hesitation. She carried a single suitcase, her best heels, and a heart pounding with anticipation. Dubai greeted her with walls of glass that caught the desert sun, glittering like a kingdom from another world. A man in a pressed suit held a placard with her name. He smiled, yet his eyes remained unreadable. "Miss Nadia?" he asked, his voice polished, professional. "Yes," she answered. "Welcome. I am Rami. I will take care of everything." The car glided through wide highways, lined with palm trees and neon billboards. Nadia pressed her forehead against the tinted window. Endless skyscrapers rose like silver arrows, their reflections painting the night. Her hotel room overlooked the Persian Gulf. White marble floors, gold fixtures, and a chandelier that dripped crystal light. It was more palace than lodging. She let out a laugh, spinning in the empty space, whispering, "I made it." Yet rules began to surface almost instantly. A contract appeared on the desk, dozens of pages thick. She was told to sign before the next morning. Rami lingered as she flipped through, his presence a constant shadow. "Just formalities," he assured, tapping the papers. "Every contestant signs. Nothing unusual." Her pen hovered. She couldn't decipher the dense legal jargon, but the words disciplinary measures and restricted movement made her throat dry. Still she signed. The following day unfolded in rehearsed precision. Wake-up calls at 6. Breakfast in the hall, where contestants sat under the watch of silent men in suits. Transported to rehearsals, their phones collected in sealed envelopes. Smiles for cameras, silence in the vans. She tried calling her mother that night, but the line cut after 3 minutes. "Network issues," Rami said smoothly when she asked. He sat in the lobby, always waiting, always watching. His phone glowed faintly as he typed, and Nadia had the uneasy sense her every word was being sent elsewhere. Still, when she stepped onto the balcony and saw the glittering skyline, her chest swelled. Maybe this was what ambition cost: rules, control, small sacrifices. She told herself the unease was nerves, nothing more. But deep inside, a voice whispered that paradise with bars was still a cage. Tomorrow, rehearsals would begin with the other contestants' faces she had not yet met, voices that would soon echo her own fears. Morning rehearsals began in a mirrored hall, so bright it almost blinded the contestants. Nadia stood among a dozen women, each draped in glittering gowns that shimmered under fluorescent lights. Their heels clicked in unison as they were ordered to walk, pause, smile. From the back of the hall, organizers watched with sharp eyes. They whispered into earpieces, their faces hard, never applauding. Nadia's legs trembled as she stepped forward. Her reflection in the wall seemed more like a mannequin than herself, painted lips, forced confidence. Beside her, a tall brunette leaned close during the break. "I'm Layla," she murmured, her accent faintly Lebanese. "Don't worry, the first day feels worse than it is." Nadia gave a small smile. "I'm Nadia." Layla's eyes flicked toward the suited men by the doors. "Careful what you say. They listen to everything." Nadia frowned. "They're just staff, aren't they?" "Staff don't take your phones. Staff don't tell you when you can eat, sleep, or call home." Layla's tone sharpened. "This is not a contest. It's something else." Before Nadia could ask more, Rami appeared, his presence heavy as iron. "Ladies, time to return to your suites." His eyes lingered on Layla for a moment too long, then softened into a professional smile. Back in the elevator, silence fell. The contestants stared at the numbers glowing above the doors, as if conversation itself was dangerous. Later that night, Nadia knocked gently on Layla's door. It opened just enough to reveal her inside, hair undone, makeup washed away. She looked younger, but fear sharpened her expression. "You shouldn't come here," Layla whispered. "I just wanted to talk," Nadia said. Layla sighed, then pulled her inside. The curtains were drawn. The room dim, except for a lamp. "I've been here before, last year. Same contest. Same promises." Nadia blinked. "But you're competing again." "I escaped before the finals," Layla admitted. "I thought I was safe. They found me back home, said if I didn't return my family would suffer. So I came back." Nadia's breath caught. "That's impossible. Why would they?" "You'll see," Layla's voice broke. "Girls disappear. They tell the press someone withdrew, someone broke rules, someone got sick. But no one ever sees them again." Nadia felt the floor tilt beneath her. She remembered the vague contract clauses, the way her calls home cut short, the silence in the rehearsal hall. From the hallway came footsteps. Heavy, measured. Layla froze, pressing a finger to her lips. The sound lingered, then faded. "I'm telling you this because you look like me when I first came," Layla whispered, hopeful, dreaming. "But here, hope is dangerous." Nadia whispered back, "Then what should I do?" Layla shook her head. "Survive, watch everything, trust no one." The following days blurred into routine. Wake, rehearse, smile for cameras that showed nothing real. At night, Nadia lay awake listening to muffled sobs from other rooms. Some girls clung together, whispering in bathrooms, while others isolated themselves completely. One morning, Nadia noticed an empty chair at breakfast. A petite red-haired girl, always cheerful, was gone. Her name never spoken, her belongings cleared. "Where is she?" Nadia asked quietly. Layla stirred her tea without looking up. "Don't ask. They'll say she broke the rules." Nadia glanced at the suited men at the edges of the dining hall. Their faces were stone, their eyes moving over every gesture. She forced herself to swallow food that tasted of ash. Something had shifted. What once felt like nerves now throbbed like warning bells. That night, standing on her balcony, the city's lights stretched endless across the desert. For the first time, they didn't look like opportunity. They looked like a trap glittering to hide the darkness beneath. And when she tried to sleep, the image of the empty chair haunted her until morning. The night of the preliminary gala pulsed with blinding light. Chandeliers glittered, cameras clicked, and music swelled from hidden speakers. Nadia walked the stage in a sequined gown that caught the light, like fire. Her smile fixed, though her heart thudded like a trapped bird. Judges applauded politely. Sponsors clinked glasses at tables below, their eyes drifting over the contestants, as if choosing from a catalogue rather than celebrating talent. When her turn ended, she returned backstage where Layla waited. "Keep smiling," Layla whispered, "but don't ever forget who's watching." Nadia forced a laugh, though her chest felt hollow. "I just want tonight over." After the final group performance, the contestants were ushered into black vans waiting outside. Curtains sealed the windows, muffling the city beyond. Nadia sat between two strangers, their perfume heavy, their eyes vacant with exhaustion. Back at the hotel, Rami escorted her to her suite. His hand brushed her shoulder just long enough to make her shiver. "Good work tonight, Miss Nadia. Rest well." She locked the door, kicked off her heels and pressed her back against the wall. Something about the night felt different, an undercurrent of expectation she couldn't name. Her phone buzzed. A short message from her mother. "Are you safe? Call me." She typed back quickly. "Yes, Mama. Just tired." Then she deleted it, afraid Rami might read her screen if he appeared again. Sleep came shallow. She woke to faint footsteps in the hallway, then the metallic click of a lock being forced open nearby. She held her breath, staring into the dark. The sound stopped, replaced by a muffled cry quickly silenced. Morning arrived too soon. At breakfast, the girls gathered at the long table, plates of fruit and bread untouched. Nadia counted seats, then froze. Layla leaned close. "You see it too?" "Who's missing?" Nadia whispered. "Karolina," Layla murmured. "The Polish girl. She was in the room next to yours." Nadia's stomach twisted. The muffled cry, the footsteps, had that been Karolina? One of the organizers, a tall man with a fixed smile, tapped his glass. "Ladies, we regret to inform you that one contestant has been disqualified for violating contest rules. Let this be a reminder, discipline is essential. Now enjoy your meal." The room sank into silence. Nadia stared at her plate, every bite turning to stone in her throat. Later that evening, she searched the contest website on a staff computer in the lobby. Carolina's name and photo had been erased, as though she had never existed. Layla found her there, pale and trembling. "Don't search. They'll know." "I heard her," Nadia whispered. "Someone came in the night." Layla's lips pressed tight. "This is how it starts, one vanishing after another. If you question, you're next." Back in her suite, Nadia paced like a caged animal. The skyline outside glittered indifferently. The air conditioning hummed over her ragged breath. She opened her suitcase, searching for something, anything that proved her life before this place. A postcard from home, folded at the bottom. She pressed it to her chest. "I'm still me. I still exist." But when she glanced at the mirror, she barely recognized the reflection. Heavy makeup, rehearsed smile, eyes shadowed with dread. The next rehearsal loomed. The stage would shine, the cameras would flash, and the audience would never know one contestant had vanished into silence. And somewhere beyond the city's glitter, the truth waited, hidden in shadows, no one dared to expose. Kareem adjusted his recorder, its tiny red light glowing against the clutter of his desk. He had been a journalist long enough to know which stories were dangerous, and this one smelled of fire before he even touched it. An anonymous email had landed in his inbox. "Contestants missing. Beauty event cover-up. Look deeper." He leaned back, staring at the skyline through his office window. Dubai glowed like a mirage, glass towers, neon signs. A city that sold perfection. But perfection always had cracks. That evening, he met his source in a dim cafe far from downtown. The man wore a hood, his voice low. "Girls vanish. No reports. Families silenced with money or threats. Ask about the villas outside the city." Kareem frowned. "You're saying the contest is a front? Not just this one. Many. It's an industry." The man slid a folded paper across the table, then left before Kareem could ask more. Unfolding it, Kareem found names, dates, and a single address circled in red. An estate beyond the city limits, near the desert. The next day he drove there. The road stretched endlessly, sand whipping against the windshield. At last, high gates appeared, guarded but silent. He slowed, pretending to check his GPS, and saw the faint outlines of cameras perched like vultures above the walls. Inside, faint music drifted. He glimpsed figures moving on a balcony. Women in gowns, their postures stiff, their laughter brittle. The sight twisted his stomach. A truck passed, forcing him to move on. He parked miles away, scribbling in his notebook. Contest, disappearances, villa. Each word felt heavier than the last. That night, in his small apartment, Kareem connected the dots. Old reports buried in archives. Foreign families posting online about daughters who never returned. Cases dismissed as runaways or personal choices. A pattern emerged, contestants erased with surgical precision. His phone buzzed. A blocked number. He hesitated, then answered. A woman's voice whispered, "Stop digging, Kareem. You don't know who you're crossing." The line went dead. He sat frozen, the silence pressing in. Fear crept up his spine, but so did resolve. If someone wanted him quiet, it meant the story was real. Pulling up the contest's live feed, he saw the smiling faces of women parading in gowns under chandeliers. To the audience, it was glamour, but Kareem knew somewhere behind those lights, shadows swallowed the truth. He pressed record on his voice notes. Evidence points to disappearances linked to the Dubai contest. Leads suggest involvement of villas in the desert. Possible trafficking. Names to follow. His own voice shook as he spoke. The story was dangerous, but so was silence. And as the night stretched, he realized the next step would take him closer to the truth, and closer to the people willing to kill to keep it hidden. The call came just after midnight. Layla had slipped a note into one of the staff vans, a desperate plea scribbled on hotel stationery. She vanished. "We're being watched. Please help." By morning it reached police hands, forcing action they could no longer ignore. Unmarked cars rolled quietly into the desert, headlights dimmed, tires crunching against sand. The circled address Kareem had uncovered stood before them, a sprawling villa, its walls pale under the moon, windows shuttered like closed eyes. Inside, silence. No music, no voices, only the faint rattle of wind through half-opened doors. The officers moved in, flashlights cutting across marble floors, littered with empty glasses and silk scarves. "Clear the rooms," the lead officer ordered, his voice tight. Layla, trembling in the back of a police vehicle, clutched the edge of her seat. She had insisted on showing them the note, on telling them about Carolina and Nadia. Fear flickered across her features, but hope pressed against it like a fragile flame. Kareem stood beside her, notepad ready. If they find her, it changes everything. The villa's grand hall stretched before the officers. Curtains swayed as if hiding ghosts. Then came the stench, metallic, unmistakable. The junior officer gagged. "Sir," another called out, his beam settling on a heavy oak door at the far end. It was locked from outside, a chain wound tight, bolt cutters sliced through. The door groaned open. What they found inside stilled even the most hardened among them. A room staged like a stage, lights rigged above, red velvet curtains framing a lone chair. Draped across it sat Nadia. She wore the contest's crown, her gown glittering with sequins, but her skin was pale, her body lifeless, her head tilted unnaturally, eyes wide open as if forced to witness her own final act. Silence crashed over the room. One officer muttered a prayer. Another covered his face with his hand. Kareem stumbled forward until the lead officer blocked him. "You can't be in here." "She's the proof," Kareem whispered, voice breaking. "The world has to see what they've done." Layla, hearing the words from outside, let out a sound between a sob and a scream. "Nadia!" The lead officer examined the scene, his flashlight trembling. This wasn't random. This was staged. Someone wanted her found like this. On the wall behind the chair, carved into plaster, were words in English, "Beauty never dies." The letters dripped faint traces of blood, smearing under the light. Evidence crews rushed in, photographing every corner, every smear, every shard of glass. Yet the grandeur of the villa told its own story. Powerful people had been here, watching, controlling, discarding lives like broken ornaments. One officer whispered, "Whoever did this knew we'd come. This is a message." Kareem scribbled furiously in his notebook, though his hand shook so badly the ink blurred. He looked at Nadia's crown, tilted on her frozen hair, and knew this was no contest. It was a performance of cruelty. Outside, Layla pressed her forehead against the window of the police car, tears streaking her face. The villa loomed behind her, but the image of Nadia inside would never leave. As dawn broke across the desert, the villa stood empty once more, its shadows longer, its silence heavier. But news of the discovery was already spreading. Cameras would soon arrive, politicians would issue hollow statements, and sponsors would vanish like smoke. For Layla and Kareem it was only the beginning. Nadia had been found, but justice was still locked behind the same walls that had hidden her. The contest ended before the sun fully rose. By morning, the hotel ballroom, once filled with glitter and rehearsals, stood deserted. Chairs stacked, banners ripped down, the stage dismantled as if erasing every trace of what had happened. Layla sat in her room with her suitcase unopened. Police officers had ordered the contestants to remain until statements were given, yet no one came to speak with her. Instead, guards stood in the hallways, their faces stern, their eyes refusing to meet hers. She whispered into the silence, "We're just pieces they throw away when they're done." When the knock finally came, it was Kareem. He looked older, exhaustion carved into his features. "They'll try to bury this," he said. Layla's eyes widened. But they found Nadia. Everyone knows now. Everyone knows only what they're told. The sponsors have already cut ties. Officials are calling it an isolated tragedy. They'll say she overdosed or broke under pressure. They won't say what we saw. Layla's hands trembled. Then why did they leave her like that? With the crown? Kareem's gaze darkened. Because they wanted to remind us who holds the stage. Outside, cameras had gathered. Reporters shouted questions into microphones, but access was tightly controlled. A single statement was issued. The Dubai International Beauty Contest has been cancelled due to unforeseen circumstances. Yet, whispers spread in the city. Taxi drivers murmured about foreign girls who vanished. Hotel workers shared rumors of limousines leaving at odd hours. The illusion of glamour cracked, revealing shadows beneath. Layla was summoned at last to a bare conference room. A uniformed officer recorded her testimony while another sat silently in the corner. She told them about the missing girls, about Carolina, about the contracts and locked doors. The officer wrote sparingly. "We will review your statement," he said flatly. "You don't believe me," Layla accused. He closed the folder. "We are investigating." When she left, Kareem was waiting in the hallway. He gripped her arm. "They're not going to fight this, but we can." Her breath hitched. "If I speak, they'll come for me. You saw what they did to Nadia. And if you don't, they'll keep doing it," Kareem replied. His voice cracked, but the fire in it did not falter. That evening, Kareem uploaded his article. He attached photographs leaked from inside the villa, the chair, the crown, the words carved into the wall. His story spread like wildfire, shared in whispers online, debated in hushed tones in cafes. The headline cut sharp, "The Crown of Silence, Inside Dubai's Deadly Contest." Layla read it alone, her hands shaking as tears blurred the screen. She had wanted the world to know, yet seeing it laid bare filled her with dread. Every detail was another nail in Nadia's coffin, but also another risk to her own life. Her phone rang, an unknown number. She let it buzz until it stopped. When she stepped onto her balcony, the city's lights shimmered across the horizon, but they no longer felt like promise. They were watchful eyes, endless and cold. She whispered, "Nadia, forgive me. I survived, but I don't know if I can live." Behind her, the hotel television played an official broadcast. Authorities assure the public that the incident was contained and security remained strong. Smiling anchors read the words without blinking. Layla closed her suitcase at last. Whatever came next, she could not stay here. But as she left the hotel lobby, cameras flashed, microphones thrust forward, voices demanding, "Were you a contestant? Did you know Nadia?" What really happened inside? And in that storm of questions, she understood breaking the illusion meant carrying the truth, no matter the cost. Nadia, a young Eastern European model, traveled to Dubai after receiving a glittering invitation to a beauty contest. Her mother's warnings faded against the promise of wealth and fame. At first, everything dazzled: luxury hotels, rehearsals, flashing cameras, but unease grew. Phones were seized, contracts bound them, and contestants whispered of girls who vanished without a trace. One night, Nadia disappeared. Organizers erased her name, insisting she broke rules. Only Layla, another contestant, dared to remember. A journalist, Kareem, followed a trail of rumors to a desert villa, where police uncovered a chilling scene: Nadia's lifeless body staged with crown and gown, a grotesque reminder of power. The contest collapsed publicly, yet behind closed doors, justice faltered. Sponsors slipped away untouched. Layla returned home haunted, Kareem lived in fear, and contests reappeared under new names. Nadia's story became a whisper, proof that beneath glitter lay only silence.